Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. On this page, I talk about technology and money. If you're new here, you're very welcome. I'm glad that you're here, whether someone shared the channel with you, or if the algorithm brought you here, or if you typed in a keyword and find my channel. I'm glad you're here. I do have an ask. Please consider liking and sharing the video. Liking and sharing the video does two things. Number one, it helps this content get out into the algorithm. Liking the video tells the algorithm that you find this content helpful, you find it interesting, you find it engaging, that you learn something. And when you do that, it tells other people, it lets other people know that it is valuable. And then number two, it encourages me to continue creating content that you all find helpful. So thank you. And also consider subscribing to the channel. And then I also learned about, there's a bell. And when you click the notification bell, if I do a live video, it notifies you every time that I go live. Okay. So I do want to thank everyone for the folks who have sent in donations through the Cash App. It's always appreciated. Sending me messages. Either in DMs or leaving comments, especially on TikTok. Get a lot of comments on TikTok. I always appreciate it. So I do appreciate that, as well as all of the new followers and the other channels who have mentioned my channel. I really do appreciate that. Okay, it really does go a long way. So today I won't be before you long, right? Because it is a Sunday right now when I'm recording this. And I did want to say, before I get into the topic, for those, I'm on the East Coast in the South. So for those of you who are in the same area and impacted by the hurricane, I hope you're well. Hope you're safe and dry and just in a good place. I know for us, we lost power for a couple of hours and had like some down trees and leaves and things like that, but nobody seriously hurt, thank goodness. So I hope if you are a part of that you are well. So today I wanted to do a quick video. This is in response to a TikTok. So I'm also on TikTok, same name. And I did a video about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago now, about how for nurses working in tech, I'm a registered nurse, or informatics nurse. I've worked in informatics or been a nurse in tech for over 19 years. I've been a nurse for 24 years. So I did a video, just like, how you get on TikTok trends and pick up a sound on just what nurses working in tech, what people think it is versus what it really is. And I got some good comments on that video, but one of them, I'm trying to find the comment. Y'all, please bear with me. My phone went to sleep. And so the title of today's topic is 3 ways the nursing process is used in informatics. 3 ways the nursing process is used in informatics practice. And that was in response to, and sometimes I don't know if people are trolling. Sometimes I think people do really be trolling when they send me messages or leave comments. So this one, I'm not sure if it was like a troll or some people just really don't know. They're ignorant of what a nurse working in tech or informatics does. And they just come across, one of my videos or TikTok videos for the first time, and they're just not sure, like, ooh, a nurse working in tech. So the comment said, okay, here we go. So basically just working on tech, no registered nurse work, LOL. So I thought about that comment and I was like, what, this person probably really just don't know, what nurses working in tech, what we really do. Or if you are a nurse and haven't heard of the specialty of informatics or are not, and just the concept or the idea of a nurse working in informatics or working in tech just seems so far-fetched. I was like, okay, I'll do a quick video on 3 ways that the nursing process is used in informatics practice. Okay. And so, and it's interesting because I read this comment and I thought about when I first started working in informatics or working in tech at a tech company many years ago, way back in like 2003. Some of the nurses on the unit that I left or other people, I was telling them, the type of company, the tech company I was going to work for, or working for, I was new. And there was like, some people are, oh, so you just play video games all day? No, we definitely do not play video games all day. So there's this misconception or this thought that a nurse working in tech or informatics nurse is not a true nurse, right? And when, as I've said before, when I say nurse, I'm meaning registered nurse, LPN, because I do know LPNs working in tech, nursing assistants doing things as well. So when I say nurse, that's what I mean. But they think that a nurse working in tech or informatics is not really doing nursing work, because it's not what people think traditionally. A nurse, when people think nurse, they think a nurse at the bedside. And when I say bedside, if you don't know what that means, it's like working in a hospital, working in an operating room, being a school nurse, okay, being an army nurse, right? They think that the traditional nurse passing medications, doing things like that, okay? But nursing itself has multiple specialties. But even within the specialty of nursing informatics practice varies widely across the type of work that nurse informatician is doing. They could be, there's subspecialties within nurses working in tech for insurance companies, startups, for the government. The government also has informatics nurses, hospitals, contractors. I know a nurse who owns a nurse informatician who owns her own consulting company, and she has a team of informatics nurses that she contracts out to companies who need nurses with that type of expertise, right? Are working in artificial intelligence, digital health, analytics, visualization, just a lot. I know nurses who code and doing different things, programming and things like that. So I was like, okay, let me do a quick video on 3 ways that the nursing process is used in informatics practice or used in tech. So I'm going to start with the nursing process, like just to kind of do do a level set. All right. And hey, I figured if we're going to talk about what the nursing process is, very high level, let's just go to the American Nurses Association, right? So we can use that as our standard. All right. So the nursing process, it has 5 steps. I've seen some folks say it has 4. I've seen it says 6. So we're just going to go with the ANA says. Okay. All right. So the nursing process has 5 steps. It's an assessment. That's the first phase. That's where you're using a systematic, dynamic way to collect and analyze data about a client or a patient. That's the first step in delivering nursing care. Nursing process number 2 is doing diagnosis. So there is a such thing, physicians diagnose, but nurses also diagnose as well. And that's where the nurse is using their clinical judgment about the patient's response or behavior to what is going on with the condition. There's the outcomes and planning process. So that's where the nurse has set her their diagnosis. And then they decide on measurable and achievable short and long-term goals for the patient. So the ANA gives an example of like to help a patient become more mobile, getting that patient up and out the bed, from the bed to the chair at least 3 times a day. That's an example. The 4th step in the nursing process, is implementation. That's where you so outcomes and plan is, that's where you set your plan. Implementation is where you put your plan into action. And the final phase is the evaluation phase. That's where the patient status and the effectiveness of your nursing diagnosis and the care that you provided is continuously evaluated, and then you can modify your care plan as needed. Okay, so that's the nursing process. All right, for those who aren't familiar. So 3 ways the nursing process is used in informatics practice, or for nurses who are working in tech. Number 1, every informatics nurse that I know and have worked with, no matter what subspecialty or the nature of the work that they're doing, the patient is always centered. And that's across healthcare, right? Because we are human beings caring for other human beings, whether we're at the bedside, whether we're in the operating room, whether we're working in a clinic, whether we're working in an ambulatory surgery center, etc., whether we are a triage nurse working on the phone for an insurance company, the patient is always centered. And that's across healthcare. That's even within tech or within informatics. If you have an informatics nurse, whether you're doing configuration changes, doing data analysis, doing technology consulting, doing workflow design and implementation, the patient is always centered. Okay. So that's number one. The second way the nursing process is used in informatics practice is as an informatics nurse, you are always assessing. Okay, let's go back to what the ANA, right? So the assessment phase of the nursing process is a systematic, dynamic way to collect and analyze data about a client, which is the first step in delivering nursing care. And so that is not only physiological data, such as like what is the patient's blood sugar or blood glucose or blood pressure, but also psychosocial, spiritual, economic, lifestyle factors, psychological, etc. So informatics nurses or a nurse working in tech, we are always assessing. We're always doing data collection of some kind of way. We do issues to root. So like if you are a nurse working in tech and you are doing data analysis and you're writing SQL queries, right? SQL queries to build a report. And the report is not working. You do an assessment. Why is my report not working, right? Or if my report works and it's bringing back data, if you are a registered nurse and you're working in tech and you're building a report using some type of program like R or SQL, et cetera, to build that report, and you get a report back and all the patient's blood sugars on the report is 10,000, you know, as a registered nurse, if you have a report, that's just not true, right? So you're assessing, right? Because the blood sugars would not be 10,000. That person would be unalive, right? So you're always, as a nurse working in tech, no matter the nature of the work that you're doing, you're always assessing. You're using your subjective observations versus objective observations. You're always bringing in, as new data is introduced or information is given to you, you're deciding or assessing, is that information valuable? If you are a nurse working in tech and you're in a consultant type role and you're assessing new technology, you're like, okay, if we purchase this new technology or assessing this new technology, how is it going to impact the patient? And assessing that and thinking about that and thinking about it systematically. If you're looking at tech changes, right? So say if you are the type of nurse who's doing tech operations and assessing whether or not it's valuable to upgrade a system versus purchase a new one, you're assessing. So number two, informatics nurses are always assessing. And then the final way the nursing process is used in informatics practice is informatics nurses or nurses working in tech. We use critical thinking just like nurses at the bedside or any other traditional clinical settings. And when I say critical thinking, really taking time to think through objectively, taking in all the facts, using facts, not feelings, to assess, diagnose, whatever you're working on, the work that you're doing at that point in time. A lot of what you need as a clinical nurse is already in you as you're transitioning to informatics nursing, and you're using your critical thinking just like you do in the clinical setting, right? You're assessing, you're using that critical thinking process. So I just wanted to give those three quick, just like how I do the nursing informatics in small bites, right? To say, okay, in response to this person, who left this TikTok comment or people who have left other comments or sent messages, or like I said, when I first started working in tech and folks like, oh, you just play video games all day. That's not the case. Okay. So the last thing I wanted to share, and I've done this before, is for us to just very quickly look at a job description, right? For informatics nurse, just to show you guys, and I've done this before, okay, but just to show for many of these roles and positions how valuable it is, your clinical knowledge and experience, how valuable that is in the marketplace, right? So I just went out to Indeed, I'm just on Indeed. So Indeed is one of those job search websites. Okay. And I literally just typed in nurse informatics. Literally just typed in that. Okay. And then all these positions came back. Let's see, over 1,500 jobs. And I just picked a random position. So this position is for a perioperative informatics logistical nurse specialist based in Connecticut. You can see the range of pay, etc. So this is a magnet facility. So it says a leading magnet healthcare organization, that must be like a hospital or a health system, is looking for a perioperative informatics logistical nurse specialist. So if you're a matter of fact, that was one of the other comments. If you're a periop nurse looking to get into informatics, here's this would be a good opportunity that you may want to look in. Because matter of fact, I'm looking at one of the other comments. Someone said, how can you transition into this as a BSN? I have 7 years pediatric OR experience for reference. Oh, so this would be a position. So this is a 300 plus bed acute facility. They want a nurse with a BSN required, MSN preferred, at least 3 to 5 years of recent clinical experience in the peri-op setting, or 3 to 5 years in the clinical informatics role. So if you have not been a peri-op nurse for 3 to 5 years recently, but you have like the tech experience, they would take that. They say preferred experience with SPM. You know, SPM is the I think that's the SPM is the system they use to like sterilize and clean the instruments, if I'm not mistaken. Probation is using the endoscopy. That's another clinical system. IQ is a perioperative scheduling software. SharePoint, teletracking, etc. So anyway, so one of the key things is they want a nurse. And they want a nurse with that clinical experience to come in and transition into this technology role, and to be and to lead in this position. So that's just an example. So that is just when I saw that comment, they were like, oh, you're just working in tech, you're really not a nurse. No, you really are a nurse, and you really are using your clinical experience to make an impact in technology. And that's it, y'all. As always, I appreciate the comments and the messages that folks send me. I'll be sure to leave my contact information in the description box, and I'll see you in the next video.